Good evening, everyone. It is May the 6th, just after 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You're watching Full Spectrum Survival with this evening's live show. I hope that a lot of you are going to be able to join in this show live, get into some community discussion. We have a lot that is going on across the United States of America right now, including, I think I'm starting to get to the bottom of what this data center rollout across the USA, their promises to countries that are willing to join up with Israeli and American assets, them putting these AI centers into their own nations. I think we're starting to get to the bottom of that. Hey, Humble One, yes, you are first. I'm glad you guys are here and starting to roll in. First, I want to talk about America's problem. Here in the United States right now, we have a food system that is just beginning to enter into what I consider to be one of the most dangerous phases that we have ever experienced. We have fertilizer prices surging. The scariest thing to me, because we don't all grow all of our own food, is that we're going to have 300 million Americans without enough food. Thank you so much, Katie. Katie's Shrek and Ghost. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the super chat. 300 million Americans right now do not grow all of their own food. 70% of the farmers said, y'all better start watching out. They're not putting the food in the ground. In fact, I've got some video that we have. Maybe we'll get to it today. If not, we're going to get to it in tomorrow morning's broadcast, where they're shutting off water. Literally shutting off the water to farmers that have been in business for hundreds of years. We're talking about generational farmers that have put peaches, oranges into the food mouths of American citizens, corn, basically everything that wasn't controlled by BlackRock or some other investment agency. They're being robbed. The American people are being robbed. And who's winning? Well, I think if we look at what's going on, we can see exactly who's winning, because what we have right now is the Treasury Department saying that they're happier than they ever have been before, because Americans are spending more than they ever have before on food, on their vehicle purchases. All of these other companies are winning, while you and I basically get left with the suck. The United States of America isn't yet facing a food shortage, even though we as Americans are paying much more for groceries when you go today than you did just a couple of years ago. Food prices right now are about 20% higher if you just bundle it all together. Some of it's 50, some of it's 60%. But if you bundle it all together, you get about 20% higher than the 2022 levels. President Trump pointed out that America doesn't rely on other countries, but we do. Our farmers rely on all these other countries to get cheap fertilizer. Our medicine companies rely on all these other countries to get the base products that they need to turn into medicine. Across our country, we have farmers warning that conditions are unsustainable. Now, if they're talking about their own profit margins and they understand that we as a nation are really in one of the worst times that we will have ever experienced in our life, I think that it's literally just months away from complete collapse. A Farm Bureau surveyed about 6,000 farmers across the country. I'm not talking about somebody with an acre. These are guys with 100-acre farms. They found that 70% of them, according to the official government release, so it's probably worse, 70% of them say that they just warned the government they don't have enough fertilizer. They're already beginning to reduce their planting. They're already beginning to cut their work. Now, this situation is almost an exact one-for-one with what happened during the Russian and Ukrainian war. I don't know if you guys remember, but just a couple of years ago, we had people lining up in Ukraine and in Russia at basically bread lines. People going to get their very staple foods delivered to them from the government. But that kind of made sense because you're looking at two countries who were engaging in a very big war between themselves. I'm talking, you go to the store, you might get killed. We don't have that happening here in the USA. And yet the farming situation inside of our country is almost a one-for-one compared to Ukraine and Russia. Now, my biggest concern is that those countries, because of the war, were prepared to endure that. Here in the USA, because we don't have an active war on our soil yet, we're not prepared to endure that. Plus, hey, from Arkansas, plus we have an entire country, excuse me, that Arkansas got me, that Arkansas dust got me. We have an entire country full of a large percentage of people who will riot. They showed us that during the left side driven riot campaigns of the pandemic. They'll get out in the streets. They'll burn down the buildings. They'll bust the doors and the windows of businesses who have nothing to do with it. They'll go through the neighborhoods. They'll take from others. They'll stop the traffic. And that's what they would do just because their life was shifted a little bit. Imagine what they'll do if they do not have enough food. It's really the desperate people in the near future that are scaring me. Because you're prepared. That's why you're here. You're a member of this family. The Full Spectrum Survival family, all the homesteaders out there, you guys are going to make it through. And life's not going to be too much different as far as you making sure your kids have enough calories inside of them. But life outside of your house is going to be very different. If 70% of our farmers are already saying that there is not enough fertilizer to put food into the ground for the next harvest, we're counting down by the week now. Now, again, exact same mirror of Russia and Ukraine. The warning signs have returned. Urea prices have reached their highest levels since that pandemic. Washington is offering very little. They're not even saying this is a problem because they don't want the people to know that this is a problem. America hasn't faced famine in generations. We haven't faced famine almost since pioneering. But because of this issue that isn't even being talked about, they're in too much of a rush to get more data centers into the ground. They're in too much of a rush to get AI everywhere, to get it into the military, to make a classified dossier on every individual. They won't bring up the elephant in the room. Guys, if you would do me a favor as we watch this world on fire together, please click a thumbs up button. If you see a like button, please click it. And if you have the chance to hype this video or share it to Facebook or X, please share it while you've got a chance right now. Okay, I do want to talk about hantavirus. Somebody says that hantavirus is here. So hantavirus is a nasty, nasty thing. If you wanted to get AIDS or hantavirus, you would want to get AIDS. Now, I'm not saying that I'm afraid of hantavirus. I'm not saying I'm afraid of AIDS. I'm going to make sure I don't engage in anything that brings me closer to getting either one of those things. I won't be rolling around in any Argentine sheds or landfills or dumpster piles. I won't be going into any mouse-covered fecal areas in sheds that don't have any airflow in Australia. I won't be going into some of the deep, dark streets of Atlanta, Georgia, or Tampa, Florida. But if you wanted a choice between getting AIDS, HIV, or hantavirus, you would want to get HIV. That's how serious it is. We're talking 35% of the people who get it, their bodies can't fight it off, they die. Now, they will use this. They're already telling people, don't drive as much. And they're saying, look at Iran, don't drive as much. Look at Iran, stop your vacations. Look at Iran, don't go out. They're already telling people work from home. Many countries have instituted a don't get on the streets mandate that is very similar to the one we had during the pandemic. And it's almost like, if you look at it, if you put on your, I don't have my conspiracy glasses here. If I were to put on my conspiracy glasses, I would look at this and I would say, you know what? This looks really, darn similar to the actions that were taken during the pandemic. And because this isn't the pandemic, it's almost like they'll take advantage of something new. That's what is really on my radar. I'll borrow your conspiracy glasses. Well, let me snatch those glasses, put them on, and let's look at this world through the eyes of conspiracy. I told my brother, let me read you this text message that I shared with my brother the other day. We were talking about all the ticks across the United States of America, how farmers and hunters are just finding bodies of deer, elk, moose, all across North America and Canada, covered from hoof to tail to head in ticks. This just happens to be at the exact same time that large organizations have developed and have started putting out a vaccine for Lyme's disease. And this is right after we saw bioengineering scientists say that if we really wanted people not to eat as much meat, we would make a genome change inside of the population that would make them allergic to red meat. And isn't it just a coincidence that now ticks give a virus or a genome change that makes people so that they can't have meat? Okay, I told my brother, he said, how convenient. Let me make sure that I've got everything where it needs to be. He says, how convenient. Okay, I don't know if you can read that there. I said, I don't know what's worse. Living in a world where the pharmaceutical companies who just came out with the new Lyme's disease vaccine could be considered to be dropping boxes of infected GMO ticks all over the country, or living in the delusion that corrupt capitalism and pharmaceutical companies would never do that, given everything that we have seen over the last couple of decades. From the programs that the CIA uses, to the information that's coming out now on social engineering, to the last round of injectables that we've seen presented to the world, I think that right now, everybody should not believe in coincidences. Just like Manly Taylor says in the comments, don't believe in coincidence. Look at it and say, okay, all right, I see these things happening. Wouldn't it be nice if it was just a coincidence? But then keep those conspiracy glasses on and say, well, who's benefiting from this? And I think we can see exactly who is benefiting from this. Okay, so we were talking about the hantavirus. A person is reported to have been in and around an area that is known to have this specific strain that is capable of human-to-human transmission. Then they got sick. Then they got on a plane, and they infected other people on a plane. And then they went on a cruise. They didn't even make it on the cruise 24 hours before dying. 30 to 40% mortality rate, folks. Case fatality. So if you have it, 30 to 40%. 3 to 4 out of 10 people walk the plank. We're watching, we're hoping that we don't have any sort of wild mutation, whether natural or not, to this thing that makes it a super spreading event. If it's capable, remember, we're less than 6 months past the AI guy, Sam Altman, saying that a bioengineered disease was possible because of the level of AI on a near civilian or bad actor country level. We're not even talking about the high-level labs that the USA, China, and Russia operate. We're talking about a bunch of kooks being able to sit in a makeshift warehouse and develop something that can absolutely wipe the world. And so with all the information that's coming out about Hanta, I think we have to just look and see what are they going to do about it? Yeah, so there is a specific strain that spreads human to human. It's very localized to, I think, Argentine. Okay, folks, let's see what else we've got going on here, because this world is absolutely crazy. I want to get to some of the videos that we weren't able to cover at other times. Listen to Zelensky.
We need to find a workable diplomatic format, and Europe must be at the table in any talks. And we are in contact with the United States, and we understand their views and positions, but it would be good to develop one common European voice for talks with Russians. Thank you.
In short, why don't you guys send some money my way?
It is invitation. I do think that it is fitting that Canada is the first non-European country to join this forum, as we are the most European of non-European countries. We share a triple alignment of history, of values, and trust. Our histories are deeply intertwined. Invitation. I do think that it is.
So there's Carney and Macron as they're kind of discussing a move away from the United States.
Because the world is undergoing a rupture across several dimensions, in technology, in energy, in commerce.
I think what our community member here just said, let me pause this. I think our community member who just said, fear not, 100%. Be understanding of the world around you. There's a lot of duality that's going on, and there's a lot of duality that has happened for hundreds, thousands of years. It's in religious texts all over the world. The duality is that they've conditioned a control mechanism so that people can choose their view. Thank you so much, Kenzo9856. Always appreciate your great channel. Follow every day. Well, thank you so much. Please, this is a good time. If everyone would please make sure that you have your bell alert marked as always notify. So when we get a live show, a lot of people comment the next day and they're like, why didn't I see you at a live show? It's because they didn't have that little bell alert for notifications for everything we do out. We don't put out any spam. So everything that you get an alert on will be another post that we have presented for you. Fear not. Absolutely. We need to not be afraid. But we need to know the severity of the world that we're living in. And you can't believe that this world is full of great people, 100%, when a lot of bad actors are out there. So it's not fear to lock your door at night, but people will argue that it is. But it's not fear. It's knowing the environment that we live in. It's not fear to beep your car alarm before you go inside. That's understanding the world that we live in. It's not fear to buy 6 months worth of food to be sure that you can feed your family for 6 months, knowing the state of the world we live in. And so being prepared is part of not having any fear. All right, let's see what else we've got going on here, folks.
I think that is incredibly important. I think you share the view that inflation is a silent tax on American households. Is that accurate?
Senator, it's accurate. It's the most regressive tax that anyone in Washington could come up with. If you were trying to do the most harm to the least well-off among us, inflation would be the way to do it.
Yeah, and my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have been talking about that. And I note, at least I don't recall, that they ever talked about that during the Biden administration. Because it was during the Biden administration that we saw this record inflation, this 40-year-old high inflation. And yet my Democrat colleagues were silent about it back then. Now they want to talk about it. But of course, American households were hurting back then as well. Inflation was caused by President Biden's reckless policies and reckless spending. Let's look at ARPA, a partisan bill that was passed by the Democrats, which cost taxpayers $1.9 trillion.
You know, there's so much infighting between the left side of politics and the right side of politics. I just have one question. Are you better off today or during the first term of Trump than you were during the first term of George W. Bush or George W. Bush II? I don't think so, because we have seen this cost of living crisis. It was kind of just creeping its way up. But then it skyrocketed. And in this community and communities all over the country, the biggest problem people have is that they're being robbed. And there's literally, they've conditioned us like abused housewives to not do anything about it. They know exactly what buttons to push. They know exactly what hand to put up. We start acting up and the government just comes out here throwing that pimp slap back, gets everybody bowing down. But not you and not me. We just recognize where we're at. And so we say, okay, I would much rather understand this right now and navigate through it to the best of my family's capability than I would blindly say, no, that doesn't happen, or this is all because of Biden, or this is all because of Trump. No, folks, this is a game of them. They're the game and we're the player. And the game always wants to be the winner. And that's what they are doing. Doesn't matter who is there, the big bad guy, the BBG, whether it's BBG Blue Rhino, BBG or BBG Republican, BBG Democrat, the big bad guy is literally the same game. But they're going to keep towing us along on this for as long as they possibly can to misdirect.
Dollars in cash in suitcases. This is almost unbelievable.
Do you remember the repeated message of Israel's prime minister? I don't want to say his name because it gets flagged. The prime minister of Israel. Do you remember his warning that America would see a terror attack? And every country would see a terror attack that didn't align themselves with the Israeli goal of deleting a certain extremist group? Listen here. This is the next shot for this is the former Israeli Prime Minister Bennett.
I stopped that. I said no more suitcases of cash going to Hamas. I am willing that the Gaza population, poor families, will get $100 prepaid cards. So we converted that money into prepaid cards, which we could monitor, and went to buying food. I'm okay with that. But I stopped the cash transfers to Hamas.
That could be used.
So why were these leaders giving all this money to all of these so-called extremist organizations? This is out of Iran. It says, we will maintain the security of the Strait of Hormuz with all of our might. The commander of the central headquarters of the Holy Prophet, as they call it, we have repeatedly stated that the security of this strait is in the hands of the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and that any passage and navigation in any circumstance will be carried out by their forces. They say the criminal leaders and the aggressive and terrorist American army, who have for some time resorted to theft and piracy in the open and international waterways of the world, and have endangered global security and trade and economies, must themselves and their allies understand that the resilient and brave nation and the prepared and powerful armed forces of Iran have proven in practice that they will respond very harshly and regretfully to any threat and aggression by the enemy at any level and in any region of Iran. Something is happening behind the scenes, and today Donald Trump was positioned by a reporter, and that reporter said, you've seen that Iran is unwilling to move, unwilling to budge. And Trump looked at him, and you could just barely catch him saying it, that you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. Well, I think that we're putting that picture together here at the Full Spectrum Survival family because we see France moving their aircraft carrier over. We see the massive amount of people and munitions that America is moving over. What I don't really understand, and Trump's really good at misinformation and misdirection. So he deflects to Pakistan one day, and then he says, oh, we're just bombing the bejesus out of them. And then he says, okay, hold on, we're going to hear what Saudi Arabia had to say. All the while, we continue to move militarily into this region. Unless Iran, and I have seen goose egg that they're willing to give up. Unless Iran is willing to give up, the American people are going to be really peed off if we don't come out of this multi-billion-dollar campaign better off. I'm still waiting for my free gas because we just took all of Venezuela's oil. Why did our gas prices go up? While the big bad guys, the game masters, continue to tell us that we have more oil than we ever have before. Okay, folks, then why is our gas and diesel price up? Why aren't we converting that oil and gas into fertilizer, and our 70% of our farmers are saying that they're going to be able to get food in the ground? It's the opposite. Our gas and diesel prices are through the roof. I'm looking at guys filling up their trucks for $230. Our farmers are saying the American people aren't going to be fed and you're going to be eating wood chips soon. And where are you and I? This is while the companies, look, the S&P just had their best day. They're ending at record levels. The corporations are making record amounts of money. The car makers making record profits. The electricity companies, record profits. Their employees aren't. But the guys at the top, the big bad guys, they're the ones who are making all of the money. We've got, thank you so much, John. $7 diesel in Oregon. That's crazy. The NWO. Is this a Scientology channel? What do they call it? Thetas? Is it Zeta? I don't know. This is not a Scientology channel. What do they call it in when you have a new order? Basically, new management. You go by a really crappy restaurant, and that restaurant just got turned into dirt. Garbage, rats everywhere, cockroaches out on your food. I remember going to a Chinese place when I was younger with my family, and there was a cockroach right cooked into the food, a little crunchy extra protein. And then they say new management, everybody goes back like that didn't happen. Like all those same employees aren't there wiping their armpits and cooking your food. Well, that's what's happening around the world. You're still getting the same old garbage, and they're just telling you it's a brave new world. Texas, listen to this.
How big is the new data center campus they're building in the Texas Panhandle? It's the biggest one in the world. It will use as much power as all of the homes in the entire state of Texas combined times 2. It will use.
This isn't just the Texas data center. And at the beginning of this broadcast, I said I think I'm starting to get a little bit of a picture of what's going on with these data centers. Can you, for a second, let's step back from being citizens and let's just think for a second. Do they tax us without us saying okay? Yes. Do they let you go and treat yourself at the pharmacy to a medicine you know is going to make you feel better? No. Do they have all these other control mechanisms in place? Do they tell you that going 45 and a 40 is too fast? Yes. Does that mean 45 is too fast for you? No, they're making these rules, which sometimes are very arbitrary, and you are supposed to be conditioned to adhere to them. And so let's look at these data centers for a second. Can we imagine that they don't have our best interests in heart? Because let's face it, if they did, well, wouldn't they rather cure a disease like cancer than they would have the pharmaceutical company CEOs and treasurers come out in their official capacity and say curing a disease is not a profitable business model? Keeping somebody locked into medication for their entire life is a very profitable business model. And so if we see that level of evil, if you want to call it that, bad behavior in the best case scenario, and ill regard for the lower 95% of the population, let's talk about data centers. They are simultaneously producing robotics that are capable of humanoid behavior. Now, I'm not talking about coming into your house and petting your dog for you. I'm talking about doing your job so you don't. They're simultaneously creating these robotic systems while creating data centers to fuel them. And they're going to use twice your electricity while they give these data centers for free or subsidized cost to these groups. This is in no way going to benefit you. At the worst case scenario, we're looking at, I guess, Skynet, right? Terminator. In the best case scenario, a universal credit score. And your credit score will be increased by your level of willful, happy servitude. Go to China. In China, nobody there, everyone's afraid to say what's wrong because they get dinged on their Chinese credit score. And if they get dinged on their Chinese credit score, they can't even get on a bus. Nobody will rent a house to them. The jobs won't accept them. They basically become the lowest class of that entire civilization. In America, they're going to roll out a universal credit score. This credit score will be how good of a boy or girl you are. How willfully and with a smile on your face do you do exactly what you're told? And the data centers will help them manage every single person's credit score. From the flock cameras that watch you driving 3 miles per hour, maybe they won't give you a ticket for it, right? But the camera notes that you drove 3 miles per hour over the speed limit. That goes into your good boy or good girl score. Turns you into a bad boy or bad girl. The fact that you walked across the street does it too. Did you hold the door open for somebody? Did you offer to help somebody who was sitting down or who was laying on the ground? Did you give a certain number of community hours to better other people in your community? The government won't have to. It will be expected of you. Do you pay all of your taxes? Do you smile and say thank you when somebody does something for you? Every aspect of your life will be tokenized, digitized, categorized, and demonetized. And so these data centers, which almost everywhere across the country, all of the citizens are packing into these city council meetings and begging and screaming, and in some cases threatening. And they're all saying, no, we don't want them. In some of those cases, the council members, and I just saw this happen in the last 24 hours, too many people showed up to say no. So the council members took the public meeting and went into another conference room and then televised that meeting to all the citizens that showed up. Why? So they couldn't do a darn thing about it. So they are building our own demise. And while they build it and while they make it work, you and I have to pay for it. We pay it in our taxes and our increased electricity, in the government subsidies that they give. We're at the end game. This is make it or break it time for our country. Unfortunately, I think it's break it time for a lot of people. I just saw that foreclosures is skyrocketing. The debt repossession levels are increasing. The courts are working not at your behest. You see, the court doesn't care if you get into an apartment for the rest of your life and lose the house that's been in your family for 2 generations. Why would they care? They're not here for you. The courts will back up the laws that have been through not the most political dealings created, and these laws are meant to buffer you from their system and from the corporate mechanisms that are meant to keep you a servant for the rest of your life. A credit score is absolute manipulative garbage. When you pay off debt, meaning you have money to pay off the debt, your credit score goes down. So you do what is better for yourself, and you're viewed as less by those in power. This is how American, right now, for the last 30 years, 40 years, credit scores have worked. It should be that you pay off your debt, and every bank should look at you and say, you know what, we've got a good payer here. Let's go ahead and roll them into a new boat. Let's roll them right into a second house. Instead, they say that this person paid off their debt before we could accrue 30 years worth of their interest payment. And they won just a little bit. We can't let them win again. We've got too many other suckers over here. So let's go ahead and lower their credit score. The rest of the banks will look at them and say, they're not worth it. This is a system against you. And it's going to continue to be that way for a very long time until the ashes of this place can be rebuilt.
There's more power than 38 states. Not combined, but it will use more power than all of the power used in any one of 38 different states. The data center campus portion of it is, I believe, 18 million square feet. It will sit on a piece of ground that is 5 square miles.
It's really no coincidence to me. If you look at the top part of this image here, that the sky view, the aerial view, up in an airplane, of all these data centers very similarly resemble microchips and processing chips. Inside of your computer, this is what they look like. And the reason, according to some mathematicians, that they are trying to do this is because that will, just like your computer system needs all of those different processing parts and memory parts to be able to connect together on one grid. The reason that they're putting these across the entire country is so that they will connect to one grid and create the world's largest computer. They're not going to use it to cure cancer. They're not going to... Come back here. Please come back here and tell me, Brad, you were wrong. Cancer is no longer a thing in 2027. Because they could do it today. You're telling me that it was more important for them to inject people with a purchased... Hold on a second. Just get this through your head for a second, in my head for a second. Maybe I'm thinking about this the wrong way. They gave people government subsidized injections for that last event that happened. It's free. You could go get it. Go get your injection. The government's paying for it. It's free. Because it was more important to keep people alive than to let them die. Why isn't chemotherapy or curative medicine free? Why, if you really want to get the level of care the politicians get, are you out $30,000 a month? Why aren't you important then? Explain that to me for a second. If it was so important to keep the people healthy and alive that the government subsidized these corporate pharmaceutical agencies to give you free injections, then why isn't the other medicine that will keep you healthy alive? Why doesn't every family get a delivery of a lab that lets you see what your nutrients are deficient in, and then they send you a box of the nutrients every month? Their game was never to keep you healthy. It was never to keep you happy. Their game was to use you for as long as they can, and they hope that that lasts 60 years. And that's why they made the great old retirement scheme. And that retirement scheme was that if you work your behind off, stressing your body, stressing your mind, and if you work for them for 60 years, you'll get to just live free and happy the rest of your life. You won't believe the amount of fun you'll be able to have when you hurt just walking upstairs at 65, 70 years old. You won't be able to believe the amount of good times you'll have. Not back when you could actually run and party and have fun and do things that your body didn't hurt for a month. But when you're 65 after living your whole life indebted to them, You just can't believe the amount of fun that you'll be able to have. Except that also was a lie. All right, let's see what else we've got going on out here.
Meta's new $27 billion AI data center is causing chaos in a small town in Louisiana. In February, I flew down to Louisiana, to Richland Parish, a rural county where Meta is building a mega AI data center. Just to put it in perspective for you, this AI data center is 4 million square feet, 2,250 acres. That's roughly 70 football fields. When I was in Richland Parish, I spoke to over a dozen residents and really got to hear their concerns. People are talking about how their rents are going up because there are thousands of workers coming from out of state, staying in these massive RV parks. I also spoke to local businesses that are suffering. While there are definitely businesses that are making money hand over fist, you're also finding small businesses that are struggling because they can't get in with the right people or get the right catering jobs for the Meta workers on site, for example. And then you're also just seeing a tremendous amount.
That's about all I can stand of her voice, but she is definitely on the right track. That this is a game that is not meant to have you win. Foreclosure filings just hit a 6-year high. Rising property taxes, that's another thing. Oh my gosh, I can't even get off on that. I can't even get started on that. If we do, we're going to go off on a whole nother tangent. Insurance costs, debt strains. Here's some of that fire out of Arizona. Does anybody know if this fire in Arizona DPS, a Hazen fire near Buckeye, Arizona? Let's just ask, just let's just see. Is there a data center proposal for this area? I don't know if there is or not, but I do see this happening all across the country. Yes. This is like a bad sitcom. So we just looked at this fire, right? This one right here. Arizona DPS Air Rescue Rangers returning from the Hazen fire near Buckeye, Arizona. So I asked, is there a data center that they're planning for this area? Yes. There are multiple active and proposed large-scale data center projects in the area. Do you know what happens to property values as soon as a wildfire goes through? They go down. Do you know who benefits from property values going down? The people who want to come in and buy it. So if a data center wants to come in and buy a large swath of land, and I'm not, okay, hold on, I still have that guy's conspiracy glasses on that I took earlier. I'm going to give them back to him. Not that this is a conspiracy or anything. And not that I think every corporation is evil. But what I do see happening all too often is these bad events, whether it's tornadoes, hurricanes, wildfires, they're looking to take advantage of your bad times every time. That's why estate law even exists. When they have their house paid off, they die. The government's there like, hey, hold on a second. You want to sell that? You got to pay me first. You got to tally up all this other stuff. We got to make sure all these boxes are checked first. And that's the government. But these corporations are looking at all these things happening. It's not even capitalism, Nathan. We're in corruptionism. We've surpassed capitalism. Capitalism means that the market will be set and competed against. Capitalism doesn't mean that 4 processors will control the entire market and they'll compete amongst themselves without letting anybody else into the market because they have priced out everybody else's ability. They have contracts that price out anyone even getting into the market unless you're their scale. This is corruption, not capitalism, unfortunately. I believe in capitalism. It works. But every time it turns to corruption. So we're kind of in that cycle right now where we've gone from capitalism where, do you know Fritos, right? Corn chips. Fritos was a capitalist industry. It was just one guy who bought the stand, if I'm remembering this right, who bought the stand off a street seller and the recipe and then had the money to be able to compete in multiple areas. But Frito-Lay, the mega corporation, is something totally different. The idea is there, the idea is right, but the way it's been abused is wrong. And this is just getting started, unfortunately. This is New York City, the great old US of A. Thank God. Thank goodness that they bleeped out all the curses so I don't have to. Law enforcement activity taking place there.
So we're out here investigating a shooting this evening that occurred at approximately 9 o'clock. There was a party at Lake Arcadia. Edmond police along...
Okay, here's what we were talking about at the beginning of this broadcast. Listen close.
We're going to hit the Twin Towers, 9/11.
You were in New York when that happened.
I was in Manhattan when it happened. I saw those buildings on fire. That's what happens when you say the Middle East isn't our problem, we don't care. So the radical Islamists will come to the big Satan, to Manhattan, to California, to America, but with nuclear ballistic missiles. And by having Israel, you do not need to send hundreds of thousands of boots on the ground because we, Israelis, are 10 million boots on the ground, always here. Yeah. This aircraft carrier called Israel.
Thank you so much, Justin R2767. Appreciate your love of the community in the super chat.
It's not going anywhere. We're here to stay. We're not asking, and we never asked America to fight for us. We're fighting right now in the air together. We can defend ourselves.
Can you, though? I want to get to that tactical view on another time. Come on, bro. Let me see it.
In Spain, they just legalized residence of 500,000 illegal aliens. In France, they throw grenades into hair salons in a broad daylight. In Germany, not a single day goes by without someone being murdered with a knife. In Sweden, for example, you have bomb attack every other day. I can continue, but you just don't care. Those are not real problems for the European left-wing politicians. No, you are going to solve the situation in Minnesota. You are seriously discussing here the rule of law in the United States and criticizing American government for deporting illegal aliens, for deporting criminals out of their territory in the same time when Western European cities are gradually turning into a war zones. We should do exactly the same. We should deport them from Europe and not legalize their stay. We should listen to them and not what you are proposing to all of us. Everybody can see now you are enemies of Europe. You hate Europe, you hate our nations, and you want to destroy the future for our children. We should stop you, we should defeat you politically if we want to survive. Otherwise, it will be the end of Europe.
That was pretty strong, if I do say so myself. So this is something you don't really get to see too often. This is the ash cloud fallout from the volcano that erupted over in the Philippines. This is what a big supervolcanic event in the USA will look like. If we have a supervolcano go off, this is what American cities will look like. Now, folks, from a preparedness standpoint, do not go into an ash cloud breathing it. You need at least an N95 level mask. You'd see me shaving my beard off real quick. Maybe I would just do a sort of weird mask shave to keep everything else. But you'd see me shaving the beard off real quick because any gaps are letting this not neutral pH level of ash into your lungs. It really hurts your lungs. It ruins crops. Dogs die. Cats die. Animals outside are just ripped apart if they're mammals with similar central nervous systems. Do not just go into an ash cloud like this. Make sure that if you and your family are driving through something like this, inside of your vehicle, the best you can do is to turn off your AC unit altogether, tape up your vents. If it becomes unbearable or unsafe for you to drive, if it's, say, midsummer, the dead of heat, then you need to at least make sure that your vehicle is recirculating the air. If you can, still tape off material on top of your vent. So if you've got to take every first aid bag should have medical scissors in it. If you've got to take your medical scissors or a knife or your hands and Hulk Hogan your shirt open and then tape that off around your vents, including the top vent over your dashboard, make sure that this ash is not coming into your vehicle. You're going to save yourself a lot of hardship if you do that. Wet towel, absolutely. More protests. This was out in Brooklyn. This was sad. I'm seeing over and over again right now that Americans are they're going to the grocery store and they're picking up bags that are supposed to be pre-weighed. 8-pound bag of potatoes, as an example. 2-pound bag of tomatoes. And they're taking them to the scale and weighing it. And they're looking at around a 30% reduction from what you're paying for versus what it actually is. It's happening too often to be a coincidence. And so there's something that allows these manufacturers to they just basically have to say, I'm sorry. So if you find this to happen and you go to the manufacturer, the only thing they have to do to not get in trouble is to not say you're wrong. They just have to say, I'm sorry, it was just a mistake. We're offering to replace your item. And they would rather do that 1,000,000 times than give more in their product 500 million times. And so no matter if every American that was using their Tinker Thinker got out there and actually weighed their product, they would rather you complain as a thinker and give you a free product. They're still going to make more money if they short everybody else out there. And so we're seeing, look at this bag of chips from Sam's Club.
This is from Sam's Club. These will simply, they come in a pack of like...
Now you're not supposed to notice this because these are supposed to go to maybe your husband or wife's lunchbox. Because remember, it's like we're kindergartners, right? You got to take your lunchbox in while you're forced to go somewhere for 8 hours a day. Or it's supposed to actually go in your kid's lunchbox while you send them off to school. You're not supposed to, as the buyer of the house, ever see this.
36, I just stepped on something. Yeah. They come in a pack of like 36. Okay, this is completely closed. And it feels like there's nothing in there. So we're going to see how many are in there. I think there's like 3 of them.
I can feel my fingertips.
Wait. Show.
Unbelievable.
It's just crumbs.
Unbelievable.
What is that?
That's called shrinkflation.
I'm putting these on the counter.
Now they're laughing. And that shows you that as Americans, we're screwed. To not be outraged at this. Like, okay, I've got some turmeric right here, right? This is some ground culinary turmeric. If this was only half full and saying it was charging me for a full thing, I would be outraged. But they're laughing because our brothers and sisters out there are so conditioned to being screwed. And if you're conditioned to being screwed, it's funny. This is a sickness, an illness across the minds of our brothers and sisters. And I'm talking from everyone that's 18 years old, everyone that's 83 years old. We have an illness, a mental illness, that people have not been fed up. Now, the government knows there are some trigger points. One, got to keep that alcohol flowing. Two, you've got to give out antidepressants free from the government. If you can't pay for them, they'll pay for them for you. Like they're Smarties candies, like they're Skittles. Just give them out free. You want a Dum Dum Pop? No problem. Throwing Dum Dum Pops at you like the bank who's stealing your money to bet with it. They know that if the American people wake up, they are screwed. And that's really the only thing that scares them. Because you'll affect their everyday. They don't care about affecting 300 million daily lives negatively. But if you affect 50,000 of their daily lives negatively, they have never eaten a cold hot dog before. They have never eaten in their adulthood a boxed mac and cheese before. They've never bought food at the dollar store. They've never reworn a shirt with a hole in it. They've never had that uncomfortable bit on the back of your shoe from putting it on for too many years that's kind of cardboardy and rubs into your ankle. They have never experienced what it is like to live like the other 300 million of us. And they're afraid at what will happen if they have to. And so to not live in that type of world where they would have to eat a cold hot dog, they will screw whoever they have to. Because this is a dog-eat-dog world, and I respect the game. I understand that you only keep what you can hold, and you only hold what you can keep. That's just the way it is. But we have a little bit of an advantage here. There's still some movement room for you and me. Thank you, mainly Taylor. Super Chat, $9.99. I appreciate you and your support for our group and family here. You and I still have a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of room to move. We have to do that by actually moving. 8-9 years ago, I moved my family to the most rural, most frugal living area that was in a climate that wasn't going to shock me. Right? If I moved up to Alaska, I'd be like, oh, what have I done? Not that I wouldn't do it and bear through it. It would just be a shock. And what's a shock to me would be a shock to everyone else in my family. So I moved in that room to move. Think about it, please. Don't say you're too old. Don't say you're too tied down to family. Tell your family, let's move together. And if they don't want to, that's their choice. You have to do what's right for you. And that's why I said I respect the game. Because these top 50,000 people are doing what's right for them. It's just that their one jelly bean is in our whole bowl of jelly beans. They don't care about negatively screwing everybody else so that their one jelly bean is safe. You and I have to make moves right now. Whether that is having your own chickens, maybe I drink pina coladas and try to forget all the evil. I mean, hey, that's the American dream, right? Whether that's having your own chickens, growing some of your own food, being an herbalist, picking wild edibles, hunting, fishing. Somebody said it on the last live show we had. A country boy can survive. And I think he reiterates it to be politically correct, or at least get the women involvement into the song that a country folk can survive. We have to live like we're not well off instead of trying to live like the well off. And that's not a downer on anybody. Folks, I would rather sit by each and every one of you around a fire than I would rather us all scrape to have Ferraris and talk about how cool our freaking Ferraris are. How great our vacation to Milan was. I would much rather any day of the week sit around a fire with you, that we all collected the wood together, we started the fire, and we chill out. Live like that. They fantasize, fantasization, force us to fantasize to live like they do. Jeff Bezos and his, 300 personnel yacht. Elon Musk and all of his wealth and worth. Don't tell me that he doesn't make any money. He's smart. He holds it in the assets of his company. All the celebrities, all the singers that you see flaunting their cash, they force us to fantasize their life, to degrade anything less in our minds. But if we are already living happily with less, it's not going to shock us like it's going to shock everybody else. That's where I want to be. I want to be around a campfire with you guys, not talking about the newest engine in our brand new Lamborghini with the other people. Because they're just as screwed if money stops flowing as you and I would be if we weren't smart. That's where they would be at. They're just one screw up away from eating cold hot dogs and putting water inside of their powdered cheese for mac and cheese. We've seen it happen over and over again. If you're lucky enough right now to have a little bit of movement room in your finances, be smart with it. I'll give you an example. What makes more sense? Buying a new car, putting that $3,000 down, or looking for a frugal area to buy 1 acre for $3,000. That 1 acre that you'll pay around $30, $60 a year in taxes, which are corrupt and evil and wrong, will provide you more than the car that is meant to break in 4 years. Let's be smart. Guys, I want to thank each and every one of you. If I thought my voice could take it, I would be on here for 4 hours. And my brother, he's coming up to start doing some live shows with me. You'll probably hear him on the show next week. Him and his family are moving up here to make a smart decision. I take my own medicine. I tell everybody I know, in your personal life, be smart right now. Not only do we not have tomorrow's wake up guaranteed, so we have to be thankful for today's, right? But do the most good that you can with what you have today. Be smart. So I told my brother, now's really your last chance, bro. You're not younger than me. You're my oldest brother. And if you don't come up here to have a mutual support system between our families, everybody on this earth is one screw up away from a really bad life. So let's be smart with it. That way, build your support structures. Get out there with a community. Find out who's actually going to come and help you, not when times are great. Everyone will help you, put pavers down if they think they have access to your hot tub every weekend. How many people will just come help you get bit by ants with the mosquitoes buzzing all around you to put a crop in the ground that they won't benefit from? They'll only help you because you're a group. And they know that when they need to put plants in the ground, you're going to come get bit by mosquitoes and ants, and you're going to come help them. Build that support structure. We don't have all that much time left to do that, to make those moves. I'm not saying we might not be here talking in a year. We might not. But what I'm saying is the same level of movement you can make today will not be the same level of movement you can make in 1 year in 3 years. And the scariest part of that is that you won't do it until it's already too late. That's at least what I've seen. For me, I had a horrible accident. I got hit by a car while I was on a bike. I had severe liver damage as 5 of my ribs on my right side broke open into my body and split my liver. You can probably see the scar on my head where I had a traumatic brain injury. My skull busted open, and you can still see this scar right here. My skull busted open right here, eyes all funky. Teeth broken. I was screwed up. And when I laid in the ICU bed, this is what I said about you won't do it until it's too late. When I laid in the ICU bed and I didn't know really the extent of what was happening, I said, if I was to go out today, my wife and kids would have no real ability. No property in our name, no vehicle paid off. They would be catapulted at torpedo speed into a crisis. And I had to change that. And so we were making no money, $1,000 a month. Now, $1,000 a month 9 years ago is probably like $2,500 a month in today's money. And I said, I'm going to go find land. Went and found a garbage trailer that somebody would rent to me for $100 a month. You could lift up the carpet in the main room, in the living room, and below this carpet, the throw rug, was the outside. The toilet didn't have a working septic system. So if somebody had to go to the bathroom too many times, the house was going to be smelling. And that first day, I'm like, okay, can I endure this for a little while to find a piece of land? And I found a nearby piece of land that a homeowner would sell to me, 1 acre, for $3,000 monthly. I went to a lawyer and paid $100 to get the mortgage drawn up and the warranty deed in my name so that they would have to go through the foreclosure process if something changed. If their family said, no, we're not doing that anymore. They would have to actually foreclose and prove it to the courts why they were doing that. So making $1,000 a month, living in the worst condition I've ever lived in my life, making the best of it, found a piece of land, and started that trend to a more personally crisis-free, sustainable lifestyle. So please, guys, if you have the ability, a little bit of room to move, make those good moves. Now, would I rather have moved to a nearby county and found an acre? Yes, it just wasn't doable. So I just put it out of there. It wasn't going to happen. Sorry. We just did what we had to do. And so you will also survive and do what you have to do. But I'm begging you, please, to start that right now. Because just like I was in the ICU thinking, oh, I'm screwed, you never, ever know when it'll be too late. Because at that point, you'll be like, I'll do whatever. I'll stay in the worst conditions. I'll work for somebody 50 hours a week just to be able to have my chance to get ahead. But right now, today, maybe you can. And this community is great because we've already had people meet up where people needed a property caretaker who could come bring their RV on their site. They would help with the gardening and the chickens and the goats and the rabbits and the housework or the painting. And somebody in the chat will be like, well, that's slavery. No, it's mutually beneficial. They would get a contract for maybe an acre out of 50 acres that the person owns. I'm not going to vet that. I'm not going to dox that person and tell you exactly what's going on with it because you might have read it in the chat before. But they get a contract or a mortgage or whatever for that acre, and they're investing their time right now to get that. It's time to start. You guys are great. Love this community. You are all part of the Full Spectrum Survival family. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here with my family. I can't wait to spend more time together. From my family to yours, please everyone, stay safe. Be thankful for what you have. But again, look at this world. Look at what they're trying to feed us. The amount of food they give in the packets that we buy, the wildfires and tornadoes and food poisoning and everything else they're doing to us, and then the wars and the chemical engineering and everything else. Be thankful for what you have and understand this world for what it is. And it's our job, it's our burden of responsibility to get through it together. And together we will. You guys are great. Thank you for being here with us on this Wednesday night, Full Spectrum Survival here on YouTube. Please share this video. Come back in a half hour and hype the video if you can. Share it to X or Facebook or text an email. Leave a comment just saying, hey, I watched it, I liked it, because I don't think these live chats ever pass through to the actual video comments. So that'd be great if you could do that for my family. If you want our monthly survival cards, it's patreon.com/Full Spectrum Survival. I take the pictures, I craft the tips. My whole family waterproofs it. We package it up in mail. We send it out to you. I haven't changed the price in over 10 years. It was $10 then, $10 now. $15 if you go on YouTube as a member to get them, because YouTube takes their money out. I won't change the price, because even though I look at all these other countries and companies and they're like, oh yeah, just up the price, more cost of doing business. Sorry, up the price. That's going to leave a lot of people in times of hardship. And I just won't take part in that. So if you want to support further what we do, get on the monthly membership card mail out. We do tactics, we do survivalism, wild edibles, health stuff. My wife puts in a recipe every single month, staple goods recipe, not something that's like, you know what really makes me mad is she'll send me this recipe, or I'll send her one, and the recipe's like 3 ingredients, and it's this beautiful thing. One of their ingredients out of the 3 ingredients in this recipe is like a box cake. Am I as dumb as you are? Are you as dumb as I am? What's going on here? That's not 3 ingredients, that's 3 products. Because that one ingredient of a box cake has about 65 ingredients in it. Half of them are medically proven to be bad for you. So we make sure that it's all out of staple goods. Flour, sugar, cornstarch, things like that. From my family to yours, folks, please stay safe, remain vigilant, and we'll see you back tomorrow morning. Keep watch.